大家好. Hello everyone. Welcome to another lesson of beginner conversational Chinese. Today we'll talk about family members. So in today's lesson, we'll learn all the family-related phrases and vocabulary. And here's a cultural note. In China and many Asian countries, people would inquire into aspects of your life considered to be private in Western cultures. And it's important to keep in mind that people usually ask these questions because they are genuinely interested in getting to know you. And since family is an integral part of someone's life in China, it's natural for them to be curious about your family. Okay, let's get started. So how would you ask about the number of people in somebody's family? It's 你家有几口人?你家有几口人?你家 means your family or your home. 你 by itself means you. 家 means family or home. Now you might remember from the last lesson that we learned a possessive particle, de. When you put de after a person, it means that person's. So 你的 means your. But when de is followed by certain nouns such as people, you can skip the de. So with your family, we can skip that de. So instead of 你的家, we can just say 你家. 有 is a very important word to know. 有 means to have. Here it means has. Since in Chinese, there's no need to conjugate in a verb, so we keep the verb as it is. So 你家有 means your family has. 几口人 几口人 literally means how many mouths of people. 几 is a question word for numbers. You might remember it from our last class. 几月几号, what date? 口 means mouth, but here it's used as a measure word. And measure words are a distinct feature of Mandarin Chinese. They actually exist in English too, and mostly with uncountable nouns such as liquid. For example, there are many ways to measure water. You could say a drop of water, a cup of water, or a bottle of water. In these phrases, drop, cup, and bottle, they're all used to measure water. In Chinese, we just have that for every noun. Here, 口 is an example of counting the number of people in a family. We'll learn more measure words as we go. In fact, we'll learn one of the most common measure words in Chinese in just a little bit in this lesson. 人 means person or people. So 几口人, how many people? 你家有几口人? Literally, your family has how many mouths of people, which is how many people are in your family. So how do we answer that question? It's very simple. It's 我家有 number 口人. So basically, you just change 你 into 我家 my family. 有 stays the same. And then replace the 几 in 你家有几口人 with a number. And then 口人. So if there's 3 people in your family, you could say 我家有3口人. If you need a refresher on numbers, you can check out lesson 5 where we talked in depth about numbers. So 我家有 number 口人. Okay, do you have siblings? 你有兄弟姐妹吗? One more time. 你有兄弟姐妹吗? So 你 means you. 有 means to have. Here it means have. You have. 你有. And then 兄弟姐妹. So 兄弟姐妹 is a mouthful. That's because it's literally listing the 4 types of siblings. So 兄 means older brother, and it's a formal term for older brother. We'll learn the casual term in a minute. And then 弟 means younger brother. 兄弟 together means brothers. 姐 means older sister. 妹 means younger sister. So together, 姐妹 means sisters. So 兄弟姐妹 all together is literally older brother, younger brother, older sister, younger sister. So it means siblings. And then we need to put a ma at the end to turn it into a yes or no question. 你有兄弟姐妹吗? 你有兄弟姐妹吗? How would you answer this question? So again, if you remember it from our previous lessons, there are 3 ways to answer this question. You could either just say 对 correct or 不对 incorrect, or you can pick out the verb 有 to have here. So you could say 有, or I'll teach you guys how to say not to have in the next slide because it's different from the regular negation of verbs. Or you could say the whole thing, 我有兄弟姐妹. Okay, let's take a look at how you would negate the answer, I don't have siblings, which is 我没有兄弟姐妹. 我 I or me 没有 means to not have. Here it means don't have. So remember, the normal way to negate things is to put a 不 before a verb. But 有 is special. To negate 有, we put this new word 没有. You can also shorten it to just 没. It makes it sound more casual. So 我没有 I don't have 兄弟姐妹. So if you're an only child like me, then you could say 我没有兄弟姐妹. Speaking of siblings, let's break it down on how to say each individual siblings. So we learned 兄 as a formal way to refer to an older brother, but there's a more casual term, which is 哥哥. Even though the character is the same, the second 哥 is the neutral tone, so it's softer and without any emphasis. 哥哥, older brother. And then younger brother is 弟 as in 兄弟姐妹, and it's 弟弟. Again, the second character is softer. 弟弟. Older sister, 姐姐. And then younger sister, 妹妹. For example, if you have an older sister, you could say 我有姐姐. I have an older sister. If you don't have a younger brother, then you could say, Yep, 我没有弟弟. How would you say, do you have an older sister? 你有姐姐吗? 很好，你有姐姐吗? How would you answer that question? So remember the 3 ways? You could either say 对 correct, 不对 incorrect, or you could say 有 or 没有, or you could say the whole thing, 我有姐姐 or 我没有姐姐. Now let's take a look at how to say parents. So parents is 父母. So let's see each individual parent. So the word for father is 父亲. The same 父 as in 父母. So 父 by itself also means father. 亲 means relative. So like a fatherly relative, which is your father. 父亲. And then there's a casual way of calling father, which is dad. 爸爸. Again, the second 爸 is neutral. 爸爸. Okay, so the counterpart of 父亲 father is 母亲 mother. The same 母 as in 父母. 母亲is mother. And then the casual way of calling your mom is 妈妈. Mom. Pretty easy, right? Okay, next set of relatives, grandparents. So grandparents are a little complicated in Chinese, and I'll explain why. So depending on if they are your paternal or your maternal grandparents, we have a different term. 祖父母. So 祖父母 means paternal grandparents on your dad's side. And 外祖父母 means maternal grandparents on your mother's side. And I will explain why we have this distinction. So the word for grandfather is 祖父 or 外祖父. So 祖父 is paternal grandfather. 外祖父 is maternal grandfather. So 祖 means ancestor. 父, which you've seen in 父亲, means father, a fatherly figure. So your ancestor father is your grandfather. And for maternal grandfather, you call them 外祖父, and 外 by itself means outside. So the reason why we call our maternal grandfather an outside grandfather is because in a traditional Chinese household, a couple lives with the man's parents, and therefore the children grow up with their paternal grandparents, and that's why they call their mother's parents, their maternal grandparents, outside grandparents. The casual way of calling grandpa is 爷爷, 爷爷, and that's also on your father's side, 爷爷. The casual way of calling your mom's dad is 外公. Again, it literally means outside old man, which sounds a little strange, but that's how the Chinese language works. And then let's take a look at grandmothers. So 祖母 for paternal grandmother, 外祖母 for maternal grandmother. And then the casual way of calling your dad's mom is 奶奶, 奶奶, grandma. A casual way of calling your mom's mom is 外婆, 外婆. And depending on the region of China or Chinese-speaking regions that you are in, there might be different terms for 爷爷, 奶奶, 外公, 外婆. So again, 祖父 or 外祖父 for grandfather, 爷爷 is a casual way of calling grandpa on your dad's side. 外公, casual way of calling grandpa on your mom's side. 祖母 or 外祖母, your grandmother. 奶奶, casual way of calling grandma on your dad's side. 外婆, casual way of calling grandma on your mom's side. I hope this isn't all too confusing. Now let's move on to spouse. Spouse is a lot simpler. Okay, so we have 先生, 先生, which means both husband and Mr. 先生. So when you use it to mean Mr., in English you would put the last name after Mr., so Mr. Li. But in Chinese, you put the last name before the title. So it's 李先生, 李先生. So 先生 is kind of a formal way to address somebody's husband. And there's a casual way, which is 老公, 老公. 老 means old. 公 means man. So 老公 literally means old man, but it's a casual and affectionate way to call your husband. Okay, and then we have a formal way of saying wife, 太太, 太太. Again, the second tai is softer and without much emphasis. So 太太 means both wife and Mrs. So again, for Mrs. Li, we say 李太太. Last name goes before the title, 李太太. So the equivalent of 老公 for wife would be 老婆, 老婆. And then we have a word for spouse, which is 爱人, 爱人. 爱 by itself means to love. 人, which we've seen a few times already, means person. So it's literally a loved person. 爱人. Since 爱 means to love, how would you say I love you? Very good. It's just 我爱你, I love you. Very simple, huh? So how would you say my wife? You could either say 我的太太 or 我太太. Or if you want to be casual about it, you can say 我的老婆 or 我老婆. What about your husband? 你先生 or 你的先生. And the casual way would be 你老公 or 你的老公. 很好, very good. Let's move on. So children, let's go over how to say son, which is 儿子, 儿子, 儿子. Daughter is 女儿, 女儿, 女儿. The yu part, the vowel part of the 女 is a new sound to a lot of you guys. It's different from the u sound in English because it's yu, yu, you have to put your lips together and push them outwards. 女 女 by itself means female. So 女儿 很好. You can combine 儿子 and 女儿 into 儿女. 儿女 means sons and daughters, or just your children, your offspring. 儿女 There's another way to say children, which is more casual. 孩子 It could be your own children or just other people's children. 孩子 How would you say my children, my kids? 很好，我的孩子 or 我孩子。How would you say your daughter? 你的女儿 or 你女儿。How many children do you have? 你有几个孩子？你有几个孩子？ Let's break it down. 你 for you, 有 for to have, here it means have. 几个 So 几 is the question word for numbers. 个 is the single most common measure word in Chinese. Because Chinese has so many measure words, there are measure words for very specific things, such as cute and little animals or animals with big heads. We will go over them in the future. But when you're in doubt, you can always use 个. So 个 is a very good measure word to remember. 几个, literally how many 个, how many units. You can kind of remember 个 as in a generic unit, a generic measure word. 几个孩子 children. So 你有几个孩子 Literally, you have how many units of children? How many children do you have? Now, before we answer this question, how would we say how many siblings do you have? 很好, you just need to replace 孩子 with the word for siblings, which is 兄弟姐妹. So you would say 你有几个兄弟姐妹? And how would you ask, do you have children? So do you have children is a yes or no question, so you just have to make the statement, you have children, and put 吗 at the end. So it would be, 你有孩子吗? And how would you say, I don't have any children? Yep, so you would say 我, and then to negate 有, we don't use 不, we use 没, so 我没有孩子. Or you can shorten 没有 to 没, so it would be 我没孩子. So I have a son and 2 daughters, and the way you say it in Mandarin is 我有一个儿子和2个女儿. One more time. 我有一个儿子和2个女儿. 我有 means I have 一个儿子. Because we use measure words with every single noun, so 儿子 is no exception. So 一个儿子, 1 unit of son, 1 son. 和 means and. However, we only use 和 to connect a list of nouns. So in English, you can use and to connect sentences, but in Chinese, we don't do that. We don't use 和 for anything other than nouns. 2个女儿 means 2 daughters. So again, we're using the measure word 个. 2. You might remember 2 from the numbers lesson where we talked about instead of saying 200 for 200, it's better to say 200. When you are saying 2 things, when you are counting nouns, it's generally better to use 2 instead of 2. So 2个女儿 sounds a lot more natural than 2个女儿. So the whole thing again is 我有一个儿子和2个女儿. How would you say I have 2 sons and 1 daughter? Yep, so you just need to swap the numbers here. So 我有2个儿子和1个女儿. How would you say I have 2 brothers? 我有2个兄弟. 我有2个兄弟。I have 3 sisters. 我有3个姐妹。我有3个姐妹。So when you're counting the nouns in Chinese, the measure word is indispensable. And when in doubt, you can always use 个. In future lessons, I will introduce more measure words. If you want to introduce a family member, this is how you do it. 这是我太太，她叫。这是我太太，她叫。So 这 is a new word here. 这 means this or here. So in this case, it means this. 这 It's like saying the word jerk, J-E-R-K, without the K. 这是 means to be, here it means is. So 这是 means this is. 这是我太太。So 我太太 is the shortened way of saying 我的太太, since the can be dropped when it's followed by a person. If you remember our lesson on self-introduction, you remember how to introduce yourself, which is 我叫, my name is. So to say her name is, you just swap out 我 for 她。她叫。她叫. Literally, she calls, but it means her name is. 她叫。这是我太太. This is my wife. 她叫 blank. Her name is. How would you say, this is my older sister. Her name is. 这是我姐姐。她叫。Now, how would you negate a sentence like that? Like, this isn't my younger sister. To negate it, you pick out the verb here, which is 是, and then you just put a bu before it. So, 这不是我妹妹. 妹妹 means younger sister. How would you say, is this your wife? You basically make a statement, this is your wife, and put 妈 at the end. 这是你太太吗？这是你太太吗？ Okay, how would you introduce the masculine members of your family? Now we need to learn more pronouns. So the third person pronouns are super easy in Chinese. They all share the same pronunciation, 他, even though the characters are different. So for he or him, it's 他. She or her is also 他. And then it. Unlike in English, we only use it with animals. We don't use it to refer to an inanimate object, or we don't use it to refer to something grammatical. So 他 is only for animals here. And then the third person plural pronouns are also really easy. You just put 们 at the end. You guys might remember from earlier in the course where we learned 我们 for we or us, 你们 for you, plural. So for they or them, it's 他们. So the characters are a little different, but they all sound the same, 他们. So how would you say his name is? Yep, it sounds exactly like her name is, 她叫. So how can you tell if they're saying his name or her name? Just from the context. Okay, so we've learned a lot about family members today. Let's review together. How would you ask the question, how many people are in your family? And how would you answer it? Yep, so you would ask, 你家有几口人? So 你家, your family, 有 has 几口人? 几 question word for numbers. 口 is a special measure word here. You could also use 个, but 口 is common when you're counting the number of people in somebody's family. And 人 means person. To answer that question, you would say 我家有 and replace 几 with a number, 口人. So if there's 5 people in your family, you could say 我家有5口人. Next one, do you have children? And how would you answer that? So again, to make a yes or no question in Chinese, you make a statement first and put a ma at the end. So it's 你有孩子吗?你有孩子吗? Or if you want to use the formal term for children, 你有儿女吗? So if you don't have any children, you could say 没有 or just simply 没. If you do have children, you could say 我有孩子. And if you want to specify, you can go into the details by saying 我有 number 个儿子和 number 个女儿. I have this number of sons and this number of daughters. So if you have one son and one daughter, it would be 我有一个儿子和一个女儿. Now remember, if you have two sons or daughters or whatever, instead of 二个, we say 两个. Next one, how many siblings do you have and how would you answer it? So, 你有几个兄弟姐妹? Literally, you have how many units of siblings? 你有几个兄弟姐妹? If you're an only child like me, you can say 我没有兄弟姐妹. I don't have siblings. But if you do have siblings, 我有兄弟姐妹. Or you can specify the types of siblings you have. 我有一个哥哥. I have an older brother. 我有两个姐姐. I have two older sisters, and so on. Next one. This is my husband. His name is... So this is 这是 my husband, 我先生, or you could say 我的先生. And if you want to sound casual about it, 我老公 or 我的老公. And then 他叫 his name is. Next one is again a review of what we learned in the self-introduction lesson. How would you ask about your mom's name? What's your mom's name? And how would you answer it? So if you remember that lesson, you remember the way you ask somebody's name is 你叫什么 or 你叫什么名字. But here, instead of 你, we're asking about your mom. So it's 你妈妈 or 你的妈妈叫什么. Or you can put 名字 in there. And to answer that, it's simply 她叫. Last one, this is again a review of a lesson that we did on places. Where is your wife from? And how would you answer it? So your wife is 你太太 or 你的太太, or if you want to be casual about it, 你老婆 or 你的老婆. And then remember the question for where are you from? 你是哪里人? So here it's 你太太是哪里人? And to answer that, you will simply say 她是 she is blank 人. So if she's from America, you could say 她是美国人. If she's from China, 她是中国人. 很好, very good. Let's have a practice conversation. So again, I'm going to ask you questions in Chinese, and after each question, I'll give you a moment to think about it and answer before I tell you the correct answer. So the first one, 你家有几口人? 你家有几口人? So I'm asking about the number of people in your family. 你家 your family, 有 has 几口人 how many mouths of people. So you would answer it with 我家有 number 口人. So if there's 4 people in your family, 我家有4口人. Next one, 你有几个兄弟姐妹? 你有几个兄弟姐妹? So I'm asking about the number of siblings you have. So if you don't have siblings, you could say 我没有 or just 我没兄弟姐妹 or just 没有 or 没. If you do have siblings and you want to specify, you can say 我有 number 个哥哥 or 弟弟 or 姐姐 or 妹妹. Next one, 你有 女儿吗? 你有女儿吗? So I'm asking if you have a daughter. 你有女儿吗？ So if you do, you can say 有 or 我有女儿 or just 对 correct. And if you don't have daughters, 我没有女儿 or just 没有 or 不对。Next one. 这是你的爷爷吗？这是你的爷爷吗？ So this one is a yes or no question again. 这是 this is 你的 your 爷爷 your grandpa on your dad's side. So I'm saying, is this your grandpa on your dad's side? I mean, this is a hypothetical question, so it's hard to answer, but you could either say 是 or 不是 or 对 or 不对。Okay, next one. 你爸爸叫什么名字？你爸爸叫什么名字？ So I'm asking about your dad's name, because 叫什么名字 is calls what name. So you can just answer with 我爸爸叫 and then his name. 我爸爸叫 blank. Next one. 你爱人有兄弟姐妹吗？你爱人有兄弟姐妹吗？ So do you remember what 爱人 means? It means spouse. So does your spouse have siblings? So since it's a yes or no question, you can answer it with just 有 or 没有. Okay, last one. Can you introduce a family member of yours by saying, this is, and then his or her name is? Okay, so this is 这是我 or 这是我的 blank. So if this is my mom, 这是我的妈妈. His or her name is 她叫. I hope you found this lesson helpful. 谢谢你. Thank you so much for being here with me. 再见. I hope to see you in our next lesson.